One of the greatest glories you can achieve as an MMA fighter is to win the UFC belt. But to set a certain record, you have to be an expert at certain things. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Clash of MMA, where we will talk about several unbreakable records in the UFC. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and share our content with your friends. Without further ado, let's dive into it. We will kick off with the man who owns the longest winning streak in UFC history, the legendary Anderson Silva. In his prime was something else.
Like Anderson Silva when he was like 30 to 32.
Woo! Just going. I remember that. Longest reign.
You would watch him, you just like put your hands to your head and go, geez.
When he first arrived in the promotion, he had a record of 18-4 and immediately participated in the title elimination fight with his debut. With that performance in 2006, he began writing history that won't be easy to surpass. Anderson bought the Matrix to each of his fights, and his opponents were often left with the unanswered question of whether he could even bleed.
Couldn't be worse than Anderson Silva, because that shit was a year ago.
He punched you in the chin
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
And I was very confused. And I tried to punch him. And he literally moved his head out of the way and looked at me like I was stupid for doing it.
Many people started watching the UFC because of Silva, and it was a privilege to watch his reign. Superhuman Anderson didn't just walk through the division, he did it by finishing opponents and making it look easy. As he collected victories, so did bonuses. Only 2 fighters managed to stay conscious until the judge's decision, but they still came out as losers. It was an era when it was commendable to come out of a fight against Anderson and not be finished.
Anderson in his prime, man, was something special. He had achieved that state, there's this elusive state of total flow, and he had achieved that against some of the best fighters in the world.
No one was like even close. No one. He was people when watch him, they see real mixed martial arts.
He's the best Brazilian fighter that ever stepped on the UFC octagon. I think he's the best.
With a streak of 16 victories and an undefeated aura of 6 years, no one could even smell the middleweight title while Silva was holding it. However, Anderson experienced his downfall in 2013 when he paid the price for overconfidence against Chris Weidman. The only man who comes close to breaking his record is Islam Makhachev.
Best lightweight in the world is Islam Makhachev,
who has 14 wins and is still active and fierce. 3 more consecutive wins and Dagestani might be the new record holder. And if those wins are title defenses, there's no doubt that we will introduce him to the GOAT conversation.
Because Makhachev looked fucking fantastic. He's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world now. He can just crush everybody at 155 and just run the division for a while.
Let's be real, Makhachev is the only active UFC fighter that we can't imagine being defeated in the coming years. Many great fighters of that era were caught in Anderson's spider web, but no fighter's resume comes close to Jon Jones, which brings us to the next record. After 15 title fights, Bones completely forgot what it's like to participate in an ordinary fight.
He's beaten wrestlers, he's beaten knockout artists, karate stylists like Lyoto Machida, Quinton Rampage Jackson, Maurizio Shogun Hua, Alexander Gustafsson, Glover Teixeira, DC, or Vincent Prue. They weren't legendary names like Dominic Reyes, Thiago Santos, people like that.
Champions change too often these days, and Jones's record is completely safe for years to come. Someone will have to make a good effort to reach him. Even if he catches up, he'll be hard-pressed to get better names on his Sherdog than Jon, who collected them like infinity stones.
You're a pawn in this game, bro. I've been talking about it for a long time. Like DC, like all of them, bro. You're a pawn in this game. You're just a piece in this puzzle, bro. I'm trying to be great, bro, and you're just a part of it.
We know that Dominic Reyes is not exactly the best example of Jones's dominance, but while the other champions fall, Jones sits calmly on the throne and observes the MMA world from the top. What is impressive is that his last title fight, which he entered at 36 years of age, is his easiest fight so far. With all that, Jones weathered controversial storms outside the cage and still managed to stay focused and undefeated on the battlefield. Stringing together 15 victories in the UFC is a difficult task, let alone 15 title fights and winning all of them. Let's consider that he should fight at least one more time so Bones could be the man to surpass his own record. You have to be a special kind of killer for even your rivals to admit that you are the best.
But even me, the man's archenemy, even I can't deny the accomplishments that make him one of the all-time greats in mixed martial arts.
Jones was malicious as they come, ruthless and murderous, but despite that, he was not in the habit of finishing opponents early, which cannot be said for Jorge Masvidal, the record holder for the fastest knockout in UFC history of 5 seconds.
Thing about the way you knocked him out is you preyed on his instincts.
Mm-hmm.
You went at an angle and then right to him, and his instinct was just automatically to grab you.
Some will say it was a fluke, but Jorge, as an experienced street fighter, knew that Askren would shoot for the legs and force hugs as soon as the fight started. Unfortunately for Funky Ben, the only thing he hugged was Gamebred's knee.
I saw some criticism. People say the punches weren't really necessary. Maybe
they were super necessary.
Why were they necessary?
What do you mean, why were they not necessary?
Because he was already knocked out at that point.
But the referee hadn't pulled me off. And my job is to hit somebody till the referee pulls me off. So to those people, I would say maybe don't watch him and may go back to soccer.
Ben Askren, who has built his career on absolute dominance over Bellator and won championship fighters, lost his undefeated streak in just 3 seconds. But on paper, it says 5 because referee Herzog needed 2 more seconds to intervene. Bruce Buffer's announcement of Jorge Masvidal lasted longer than the fight itself. This was a golden age for Masvidal, as he had previously defeated Darren Till on enemy ground in London, and after Askren, he demolished Nate Diaz to become the first man with the BMF belt. The only fighter we can think of who could break this record is Tom Aspinall, who finishes his opponents before they break a sweat, but even he needs at least 1 minute to finish the job. Although the wrestling attempts by Askren failed in the second, subsequent wrestlers such as Covington, Usman, and Burns did their job much better. One thing that Masvidal hates and doesn't hide is crotch sniffing. Speaking of crotch sniffing, we come to the next record held by Merab Dvalishvili, and the chances of breaking it are the same as in the case of Jones and Masvidal. So, none.
Mr. Merab Dvalishvili, do you ever get tired? Like, that pace is absolutely incredible. We're sitting there cage side going, like, how does he still have this much energy through 5 rounds? Do you ever get tired?
Sometimes, but this fight, no. I was feeling great, actually. I don't get tired. I don't know. Somehow, I don't feel nothing. I was fresh.
The man tried to take down his opponent 49 times. In a 25-minute fight, that's 1 takedown every 28 seconds. Well, they don't call him a machine for no reason. What adds to the excitement of this record is the fact that his opponent was none other than Peter Yan, who is mostly immune to bullying.
I genuinely, in my heart, felt bad for Peter. After, I'm like, God damn it. You go from just the scariest, Dustin Poirier saying you're the best boxer, you're on the pound-for-pound list, you're the baddest dude in the division.
It seems that Merab is like Jon Jones, the only man who has a chance to break his own record. Otherwise, hardly anyone else will do it. Elite wrestlers do not manage to shoot for the takedown 49 times in 2 fights, let alone in 1. But we mentioned a top grappler, and we first think of Khabib Nurmagomedov. But even Eagle's alien cardio couldn't surpass the number of 21 takedown attempts. However, Khabib holds an unbelievable record in something else.
Khabib definitely is in the conversation. He's the only really elite guy to retire undefeated.
That's a nasty
Oh, he was so good, dude.
Dude, there's something about looking at that mother. Like, I love these guys who you can look in their eyes, you can tell something ain't right.
Hard as nails.
You can tell something's fucking right.
Hard
something ain't right. And that's in a good way, something ain't right.
His modest winning percentage is 100%, and given that he is retired, it will remain so. Khabib arrived in the UFC in 2012, undefeated with 17 wins, and patiently waited for his turn for the title. His patience paid off only after 9 wins, and then he defeated Al La Quinta to claim the lightweight title. During Khabib's short but dominant reign, no one came close to spoiling his plans. He had 3 title defenses where he excelled with wrestling and submission finishes against fierce competition, and then retired undefeated. Everyone knew Khabib's goal in the fight, but no one was capable of stopping him. Everyone thought they were that guy. They had a good game plan, top-notch preparations, and determination. But whenever the cage was closed, Nurmagomedov would emerge victorious in 100% of cases. People often question his undefeated record because many believe he retired too early and was not tested properly.
So any athlete who left the sport undefeated, I question, are you really undefeated, or did you not challenge yourself as hard as you could have? And if you did, what would it look like on the other side? Anybody who leaves undefeated in this sport, I get it, you're undefeated. But like, are you undefeated, or could you have just pushed a little harder to get that next level and get that loss and then come back and reclaim the loss with a win and then see what your next level, what your next evolution in life is? You know, it's not all about just winning and being perfect. Nothing in life is that. You can't dodge loss. You can't dodge pain. You can't dodge any of it.
True, Khabib hung up his gloves too soon, but it was due to the death of his coach and father, without whom he did not want to step into the cage again. And he also promised his mother that he was done with cage fighting. But things soon took a turn, and Nurmagomedov was back, but in the role of coach over his indestructible squad from Russia. Just when we thought that Dagestan could not produce more dangerous fighters, Khabib's relatives and neighbors appear in numbers, with the expected top wrestling, but better striking than the Eagle to take over the UFC.
If you think right now about the amount of top flight talent that comes from Eastern Europe and Russia and Dagestan. And Chechnya, you know? I mean, f***ing A, man.
Dude, they're all just waiting to take all the titles at this point, too.
I mean even in boxing.
Right now in the UFC, we have the undefeated Umar, with 18 wins in the bantamweight division, who could surpass Khabib's record. But it is 12 wins away. In addition to his men, there's also Shavkat Rakhmonov and Movsar Evloev, who have also made 18 perfect performances and have the potential to stay on the path. The only bad thing about breaking this record is that fighters only have one shot, one defeat, and it's all over. We can't wait to see who will be the next man to break one of these records, if at all. So, who is your favorite record holder? Tell us in the comments section below. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell because a new video is already being prepared.